Okay, so tonight we are learning the teachings of Reb Tzadok on Parshat Tavo. And Parshat Tavo is a very special parsha there's a special institution that we read this every year before Rosh Hashanah. Okay? It says in the Gemara that Ezra made an institution that every year that they should read the curses in the Torah of Parshat Bechukotai before Shavuos, and the curses of this week's parsha, which is Tavo, before Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because it says Tichle Shana V'Kilotah. Because we want to get through all of the curses of the year. We want to get by all of the curses of the year. That the year should end, and all of the curses of the year should end. And this is, of course, this year of all years. This is the most curses that we've seen in many years, unfortunately. And so hopefully that in this week that getting through the curses of Tavo will just Tichlek Shana V'Kilotah. This should be the end of all the curses, and as of next year, we should just only have good news. So what does this mean? That means that there's two parts in the Torah that the Hashem speaks about the bad stuff that's going to happen to the Jewish people if we don't follow the Torah. The first time is in Sefer Vayikra. It's in the Parsha of Bechukotai, and that's the first time. Over there there's 49 curses, and in this week's parsha in Tavo, so there's 98 curses. Okay, so these are the two times in the Torah that we go through that what's the bad stuff that's going to happen to the Jewish people if we don't follow the Torah. And so the Gemara says that these two times we put them before a new beginning. We do it before new beginnings, because before the new beginning you have to have an end of all the bad stuff. Okay, so we let out all of our curses, we let out all of our negative energy is being let out this week, and then that allows us to start the new year with a fresh start. Okay, that's what we're doing this year, this week, of reading the curses of Tavo, of Tichle Shana V'Kilotah, that all of the curses of the year should just end. Okay, now he notes an interesting thing that really this isn't the week before Rosh Hashanah. That's next week. Believe it or not. I know it's creeping up on us. But the next week is actually next Shabbos. In almost 2 weeks is the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. And that's actually the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. So why, if we want to end the year with all the curses, so why don't we do that next week? So he explains that there's an idea that every week, so the Shabbos of before every week actually contains all of the energy of the week that's coming in the next week. Meaning that whenever every bracha that is going to come in the following week, so the potential for that actually comes down the Shabbos before. So in other words, that if Rosh Hashanah is coming in 2 weeks, so next Shabbos, the energy of Rosh Hashanah is coming down that Shabbos. Okay, and this is true with everything in life. That everything that's going to happen to us in the course of the week, so the potential of that comes down during Shabbos. So that being said, next Shabbos is actually the Shabbos of the beginning of the brachot. That's the beginning of blessings. So this is the second to last Shabbos is the Shabbos of the end of the curses, and the last Shabbos, because it's the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, so the Rosh Hashanah is also coming down that Shabbos, and in that Rosh Hashanah is coming in the new blessings. So the Shabbos before also contains those new blessings. Okay, understand? So that's why the second to last Shabbos before every year. So that's when we read the Klalot. That's when we read the curses of what's going to happen if we don't follow the Torah, and so the Gemara says, hold on, Shavuos. Why is Shavuos a Rosh Hashanah? Shavuos is not Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara says, no, it is a Shavuos. Shavuos is considered a Rosh Hashanah because it says that we are judged on Shavuos as well. Okay, it says in the Torah, it says in the Mishnah that on Shavuos we are being judged on the fruits of the tree. It's also a day of judgment in a certain sense. So that's why it's important before all of the new years, before all the new beginnings, we need to get out all of the negative energy, and that is what's happening with these curses. So now, what Tzadok wants to talk about is, what he explains is that these two curses, these two times they're speaking about the curses, we're just trying to get rid of all the negative energy in order to make a new start. So this is actually the two most important things that we need to do in order to bring the complete tikkun, the complete rectification, and to bring the geula. It's all based on these two things, and that is because there's a comment in the Zohar that the Zohar in this week's Parsha says that the reason why the Torah talks twice about what's going to happen to us negatively if we don't follow the Torah is because that the first time is referring to the destruction of the first temple, and the second time, and that's this week's Parsha, is referring to what's going to happen as a result of the destruction of the second temple. Now, by the way, right now, everything this exile is actually a continuation of the destruction of the second temple, right? Because we still haven't overcome the destruction of the second temple. So really, this is all a continuation of that. Now, what is so why was the first temple destroyed? So that
Babylonians? Oh, but like
the Babylonians. Why did we deserve destruction of the first temple? So the Navi says that Yirmiyahu was the prophet during the time of the first temple, and he said that the reason why the temple was being destroyed was because al-azvamet Torati, because we left the Torah, because we betrayed the Torah, we didn't follow the Torah, because we weren't following the laws of the Torah. That's why we deserved to have the destruction of the first temple. And in the time of the second temple, so why was the second temple destroyed? So that the Gemara says in Masechet Yoma that during the time of the second temple we actually were following the Torah. And why was the temple destroyed? It was destroyed because of sinat chinam, because of baseless hatred, that we just didn't get along with each other, and that was why the second temple was destroyed. And so he says that the essence of the destruction of the first temple that is really being discussed in those first curses, which are being read before Shavuos, and the essence of the destruction of the second temple, which was the fact that we had baseless hatred, that we didn't get along. So that is the reason why the second temple was destroyed, and that's what's being focused on in this week's Parsha of Tavo, which is really the introduction to Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so and that's why it makes sense that the first temple, the problem was that we left the Torah. So the most appropriate time to remind ourselves that we need to get aligned with the Torah, that's Shavuos. That's when we accept the Torah. When we embrace the Torah, that's the time to make sure that we're aligned with the Torah. And what's the time that we should be aligned with, not baseless hatred, with loving every Jew? The time for that is Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so that should catch you by surprise, because like Rosh Hashanah, we blow shofar, Rosh Hashanah, we're scared of a judgment, but like whoever said the Rosh Hashanah is a day of loving one another? Like where is it's always nice to want to love one another, but where do we see that Rosh Hashanah, one of the themes of Rosh Hashanah is that we're supposed to be connected? So he explains that actually that is a recurring theme in Rosh Hashanah, is that one of the things that we're supposed to be focusing on is our getting along with each other. First of all, that the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah is the mitzvah of blowing the shofar. And the way that the Torah describes the blowing of the shofar is Yom Teruah Yelachem. It calls it a Teruah. So we know that the reason why it's called a Teruah is because one of the sounds of the shofar is called a Teruah. Okay, the one that's called so that's called a Teruah. Now what's interesting is that it says in the commentaries that the word Teruah is connected to the word Re'ut. That the word Teruah is etymologically connected to the word Re'ut, which means friendship. So part of what Teruah is trying to remind us of is this connection. Okay, we're supposed to be all together. Okay, number two. Now it says that there's a story in Nehemiah, that one of the books of Tanakh is called Nehemiah. So it says that after the destruction of the first temple, so So Ezra and Nehemiah, they were very influential in bringing the exiles from Babylonia, bringing them back to Jerusalem. And it says that after they brought the exiles from Jerusalem, so brought them back. So it says that when they gathered them together after they had come from Babylonia, so he made a whole meeting together, and he opened up the Torah and he started reading them from the Torah. And it says that when he got to the part about not marrying non-Jews, so then they all started crying because a lot of them were intermarried. And this day that he was reading them from the Torah, this was Rosh Hashanah. So the Navi tells us in Nehemiah that when he saw them crying, he said, "Hold on, guys! Whoa! This is Rosh Hashanah is not the day for crying. That this is a very happy day. It's a time to come close to Hashem. I want you to celebrate. I want you to send meals to all of your friends. Because the joy of God is going to give you strength." And so he was upset at the Jewish people for being so broken, that you're supposed to be doing tshuva, but you're not supposed to be doing tshuva in a broken way. You're not supposed to be doing tshuva in a way that's going to bring you to just be down. It's the tshuva of Hashem is supposed to be a happy time, and that's why you're supposed to be celebrating. Okay, and the way that the Torah describes the celebration of Hashanah is that v'shulcha manos la'inachalo, that you're supposed to be sending presents of food. So what does that sound like? That actually sounds like Purim, right? And Purim, there's a mitzvah of mishloach manot, right? And what's fascinating is that the month of Elul, which is obviously a preparation for Rosh Hashanah, so it says that there's lots of different hints for the month of Elul. There's many hints in Tanakh for where. So one of the things that like one of the most famous ones is Ani lo dodi v'dodili, that it says in Shir Shirim that I am to my beloved is to me. And that's one of the themes one of the themes of Elul is that the love between us and Hashem. But another interesting hint that we find to the month of Elul is that in Purim, that it says by Purim that there's a mitzvah of mishloach manot. So it says when Mordechai made this mitzvah of mishloach manot, it says mishloach manot ish l're'ehu umatanot le'avyonim. So the commentaries note that when the word ish l're'ehu umatanot le'avyonim, the first letter of these four words is Elul. So we see a hint in Elul of ish l're'ehu umatanot le'avyonim. So mishloach manos, giving presents, sending, giving everybody food. So that's one of the themes of Elul. So one of the ways that we're getting prepared for Rosh Hashanah is by mishloach manos.
You know what it reminds me of? The Parshat for this week.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it's called, but it's all about like offerings of the fruits at the.
Of Bikurim. That's very true, but the thing is with Bikurim is giving it to Hashem.
Yeah, oh, so we're giving it to other people.
And Purim, we're giving it to other people.
Yeah.
Okay? So there is truth to what you're saying, but there's really a different idea. The idea of Bikurim is that you're giving it to Hashem, and this is the idea of like before we're going to Hashem, we're uniting between ourselves. Understand? Okay. So Rosh Hashanah. So one of the themes of Rosh Hashanah is that we're supposed to be connecting to all the people around us. We're supposed to be making sure that we're. It's not just me, that I feel very connected to all of my friends, all of my brothers and sisters. That we're all one. And Reb Tzadok notes that it says that in the davening for Rosh Hashanah, so it says that when we're praying for Hashem's kingship to be revealed in the world, and the way that we pray for Hashem's kingship to be revealed is v'yasu kulam aguda achat. We pray to Hashem that the entire world should make themselves one aguda. Aguda literally means an organization. It means a connection. It means that one body, that the entire world should become one coherent body, that we are serving you all as one. That is the prayer of Rosh Hashanah, and the reason is very simple. That one of the most basic themes of Rosh Hashanah is the theme of making Hashem king, coronating God as king over the world. And the Gemara says a very, very simple thing, but a very profound thing. and that is that ein melech b'lo am, that you can't have a king without having a nation, right? So if you're a king but there's no nation, then you're not really a king. So if the theme of Rosh Hashanah is to make God a king, so we need to make sure that if he's going to be king, that he has to have a nation. And if everybody in the nation hates each other, if nobody gets along, so then you don't really have a nation, right? So actually, the most basic preparation for making God king is that we should be a coherent nation, that we should be able to get along. Okay? So the most basic way to get ready for Hashanah is that what we call achdut, and this is something that we're talking about, like tech l'shana b'kol haseh, like ending all the curses of the year. That the most urgent thing that the state of Israel needs right now, that the Jewish nation needs right now, is achdut, is connection, and it's so it's so obvious that this is our challenge at this moment, like that before October 7th. So it was very clear that the division within the Jewish people, specifically between the religious and non-religious, had never been so strong. That like on the Yom Kippur before Simchas Torah, so there was horrible stories about people trying to make a Yom Kippur service, and like the secular anti-religious people were like disrupting the services, and like in 5 different places. It was a horrible thing that there had never been such anti-religious opposition in the open, and it was really disgusting. And besides the fact that like all of this for so long that like this anti-Bibi, pro-Bibi, like this whole like becoming like literally two nations, people calling for a civilian what you call it, strike, rebellion, and it's we've never seen such a horrible division, and like it sort of makes sense that such a thing would bring a horrible curse, and there was there was a couple of weeks that like it looked like we were like getting our act together and like trying to unite, and then like unfortunately it doesn't seem like it's happening at the moment. So I'm sorry?
Which weeks were those?
Like right after October 7th.
Right after.
We're,
And
like united.
and so and like we seem to like not what?
United but barely, like very
we seem to not be getting the message, and like it's very clear that this is what we need. Like the only way that we're going to be redeemed, the only way that we're going to get over this, to bring our nation to a better place, is only if we can get along. And this is what it means. Ein melech b'lo am, that if we want to have a king, if we want Hashem to be a king, then we need to be a nation. So this is Rosh Hashanah is all about re'ut, the truah is about re'ut, is about friendship, is that Rosh Hashanah is all about really coming together. So this is like what our sages are telling us, that by reminding us every Rosh Hashanah that before Rosh Hashanah comes, we want to end all of the curses, and the curses of this week are the curses which are resulted of the Second Temple, and the Second Temple destruction is all because of baseless hatred, that we didn't get along. So, like, this is a reminder every year that if we want to come to Rosh Hashanah, the only way to come to Rosh Hashanah is by getting along, just by getting along with each other. And this is just like the most simple thing. Yeah.
May I ask questions, or do you want me to?
Let's see.
I had a client at work who was asking about how what you're talking about is kind of like if somebody tells you you have to love me or each other or whatever, like as if someone's pointing a gun at you.
Okay.
So like how do you do that? It's where it's forced love, or it's forced.
Oh, so we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about like what does it make sense to tell that Hashem should tell us you need to love everybody. That what if we don't want to love? What if we don't love? Yeah. Okay. So.
What if it?
That's what I mean.
What?
I'm sorry.
Like one of the divisions I found was that there are people who like you have to love God in that sense. You can't make someone love something, someone.
No, so we're gonna get to that.
So sorry, what were you saying?
Am I supposed to love Hamas?
No.
That's
Why?
You're supposed to.
Is that not everybody?
No,
Like,
we're talking
I'm
about
just wondering.
we're just talking about Jews.
Oh,
talking about Jews.
so that
Yeah.
doesn't apply to everybody.
No.
All right,
Right,
awesome.
there's no
Love
mitzvah.
each other.
But what if? Okay, so what if we
You-
have our own?
You're allowed to
Hamas
love.
and our
You're,
own-
you're allowed to love a non-Jew as long as it's a
What
girl.
if Jews end up becoming Hamas? Am I supposed to love that?
No.
I'm sorry.
What if Jews end up becoming Hamas? Not that we are, but what if we were to become
Well,
that?
then you need to just kill them because they're endangering our peace, our safety. So.
Good. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes. And the fact that
I'm a big
yeah.
fan of killing bad people.
Yes. Okay. So this is the the two times the two times that the Tichle Shana V'Kiloseh, the ending the year, ending all of the curses of the year. So the two times that we're having this is before Shavuot and before Rosh Hashanah, and this is because that the two things that we need to renew with is that the destruction of the first temple is because we left the Torah. The destruction of the second temple is because we didn't get along. Now, he notes that this is actually relevant every year, meaning that right now we said that we're obviously still in the midst of the destruction of the second temple, but the truth is that we're also still in the midst of the destruction of the first temple. Why is that? Because really the first temple didn't totally get rebuilt. Meaning that the Gemara says a very fascinating thing, that when we rebuilt the second temple, so there was two different circles. There was the circle of the young people and the circle of the old people. That the young people were rejoicing, and the old people were crying. Why were the old people crying? The old people were crying. The old people, they remembered what the first temple was like. So they were saying, "What? You're serious? This is what you're giving us?" The second temple was so far from the first temple that it was missing an amazing amount of Hashem's presence, of the Shekhinah. It didn't have a holy ark. It didn't have many miracles. We didn't have the second time. And so the revelation of the second temple was such a not, like, it didn't make it. It was really a far strike from what really the first temple was supposed to be, what having a Beis Hamikdash, having Hashem's presence was supposed to be. That the people that remember the first Beis Hamikdash, they were crying. That like they were very, very, very disappointed that this is what we're being offered. So really the second temple, even though we had a second temple, it wasn't actually a complete tikkun. It wasn't a complete fixing of the loss of the first temple. So really what we're saying is that we're still suffering from lack of the first temple. So now, every year, we still need to fix these two things. We still need to remember why the first temple was destroyed, which is that we left the Torah, and also why the second temple was destroyed, which is because we didn't get along. So these are the two things that we're trying to work on every year. That number one, the Torah, and number two, getting along. So now these two things of the Torah, following the Torah, and getting along. So these two things are actually very interrelated. Tzadok says a very beautiful thing, that when we're talking about Torah, so Torah is truth. Torah is about emet. And who is our ancestor that represents emet more than anybody else? So it says Yaakov. It says Yaakov is the hero of emet. There's a verse that says Titen emet liYaakov, that Yaakov is connected to the attribute of truth. That's why Yaakov, what was his test? His test is that are you able to lie? That he had to lie to get the birthright. He pretended that he was the firstborn. He dressed up as Esav, and the reason why he was tested in the ability to lie is because that was going against his grain, because he represents truth. Okay. So Torah represents truth, and Yaakov he represents emet. So, and shalom is peace. So shalom is represented by Yosef, our ancestor that represents peace. That's Yosef. Why? Because what was the highlight of Yosef's career? The highlight of Yosef's career was that even though his brothers hated him, even though his brothers sold him into slavery, but Yosef was such a strong person. He's such an enlightened person that he was able to forgive them. And the highlight of Yosef was the amazingness of Yosef was that even though his brothers tried to kill him, when they asked his forgiveness, he was able to forgive them. Now, the Midrash says a very beautiful thing. It says that when Yosef's brothers came to Egypt to get food, and they didn't recognize him, because he had become the second in command in the entire Egypt, and so he was in charge of giving out food. And so when they came to him, so it says, Vayaker Yosef et Echav, v'hem lo hikiru, that he recognized them, and they didn't recognize him. Okay, so Chazal say a very, very beautiful thing, that he recognized them, even though they were in his hands, and they didn't recognize him when he was in their hands. Meaning that what is the secret to loving someone even though you don't like them, even though you don't get along? What's the secret to making peace with them? What's the secret to making amends with them? So it's vayaker, to see to a person's essence. That even though that on the outside they had tried to kill him, but vayaker Yosef et Achav, he recognized them. He saw deeper than that. He was able to look into their essence, and by looking into their essence, he was able to make peace with them. He was able to forgive them. V'hem lo hikiru. They weren't able to recognize him. They only saw superficiality. They only saw the fact that, hey, our brother, he's making us problems. He's being a tattletale. For whatever reason, they didn't get along with him, so they weren't able to get over that, and that brought them to sell him into slavery. Okay, so the secret to peace is vayaker et Achav, to see through, to see a person's essence, to see past superficiality. It could be that on the outside, you're a Democrat and he's a Republican. It could be on the outside that you believe in this, he believes in that. It could believe that you believe in this, you're Hasidish and he's Litvish. You could believe that he's religious, not religious, and whatever. You have these superficial differences, and the secret to peace is being able to see beyond that. Okay, now what does that mean? So this is Yosef. Yosef represents Shalom, because he was the one who was able to forgive his brothers. So he is our ancestor that stands for connection, that stands for being able to overcome differences. And Yaakov, he is the one that represents truth, because he's the one that represents Torah. So, and this is Shavuos versus Rosh Hashanah. So now what's beautiful is that Yaakov and Yosef are the two of our ancestors which are the most connected. Okay? There's a pasuk, it says that beginning of Vayeshev, it says Ele Toldot Yaakov Yosef. So these are the generations, these are the stories of Yaakov and Yosef. So it puts them together, that Yosef is considered the extension of Yaakov, and that's why you have a very unique thing, that only Yaakov and Yosef are the two of our ancestors that the Jewish people are called on their name. Right? Yaakov is obvious because Yaakov is also called Yisrael, and we're called Klal Yisrael. The word Yisrael is really the name of Yaakov, but the Navi also talks about the Jewish people as She'erit Yosef. It calls the Jewish people are also called Yosef. Okay?
What's She'erit?
She'erit means the remainder of Yosef. It's like the shoals that are named as She'erit Joseph. Like it's a term. It's a term that they were called the leftovers, the remainder of Yosef. And because even though we're not all from the tribe of Joseph, but we're all connected to this element of Yosef, because Yosef was actually the essence of Yaakov, and we're all from Yaakov. Okay, so this is what's really the connection? So what's really the connection between Yaakov and Yosef? So this is the connection is that these two traits that they represent, Emet and Shalom, are actually intertwined. That the trait of truth and the trait of peace are actually very connected. Now, the Reb Tzadok also notes a very fascinating thing, that on Rosh Hashanah, so on the very first Rosh Hashanah, so it was the day of the creation of man. So the Midrash says that when God created man, so he took advice with the angels. So there's different angels that he asked them all, like, guys, what do you say? Should I create man or not? So it says there was a big dispute. It's a big dispute. So first Chesed, the angel of kindness, got up, and the kindness said that you should make him because man does kindness. And then the angel of truth got up, and he said, no, God, don't make man. Man is full of lies. He's one big lie. And then the angel of justice got up, and the angel of justice said, you should make man because man, he tries to be just. Man, human beings try to be just. And then the angel of peace got up and said, no, don't do it. It's because they're kulak tata. They're always fighting. Humans are always fighting with each other. So this was the disagreement that heaven had, whether or not we should create man or not. Okay, so he knows that who are the two attributes that were against the creation of man: truth and peace. And these are the two attributes that the Jewish people are named after, of Yaakov and Yosef. Yaakov is representing truth, and Yosef is representing peace. So these are the two things that we are named after, and these are the two things that every Rosh Hashanah. So there is a judgment that should we be recreated or not, as an individual, as a nation, and every year. So there's these two arguments that no, I don't think you should create him because he's just full of lies. Every year there's this argument you shouldn't recreate him because he's just full of arguments. And the way that we deserve, the way that we earn our being recreated, that we justify our creation, that we justify our existence, is the way that we connect to truth and the way that we connect to peace. Okay, so this is why that before every Rosh Hashanah we need to connect to truth, which is Torah, and we need to connect to peace, which is Ahavat Chinam, to Ahavat Yisrael. So this is really the most, like the only way that we can come into Rosh Hashanah is if we not only connect to peace, but we also connect to truth. Now, so what's the connection between these two traits? Okay, so first he says something very interesting. He says that he notes that we have a precedent. We have a precedent in Jewish history of people that disagree with each other and were very good friends, and that is Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. That they are probably the most common enemies when it comes to learning, when it comes to disagreement in halacha. That the people that have the most arguments of anybody else is Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, and yet it says that even though they disagreed when it came to learning, but that they were best friends. That they would make shidduchim with each other, and they were just friendly with each other, and that even though they were living different sets of halacha, but they made sure to always be friends. And so the Gemara says that what was their secret? What was their secret that they were always able to get along? The secret was simply because they were always looking for truth. And if you're looking for truth, that's really the secret to getting along with people that disagree with you. Now, what does that mean? So, what's the opposite of looking for truth? The opposite of looking for truth is to take things personally. Is that's something that we spoke about this at that's just yesterday at Sudash Rashid, that Rabbi Nachman talks about the fact that there's two kinds of people in the world. There's people that are looking for their own honor, and there's people that are looking for God's honor. There's no in between. You have to pick which side are you on. Which side are you on? I heard about this. I hate this. There's some rabbi that he wants to be manipulative in getting people to become religious. Sometimes a person will come to his house, and he says, "Oh, what's your name? Charlie. Charlie, are you religious or you're secular?" And I friend everybody else. So I just can't stand the fact that he wants obviously he's not going to say secular in front of another 50 people. But yeah, I'm a little bit religious. Yeah, my brother's a rabbi. You have to pick. You have to pick. Are you? What do you stand for? Do you stand for your own glory or do you stand for God's glory? Okay. Yeah. There's no in between. there is no in between, like being like a little bit pregnant. That are you living for your own are you living for your own glory, or you're living for God's glory? Okay, so and the truth is that I have to choose. Like, what's my motivation in life? Is my motivation in life that I want to have a good time, or is my motivation in life that I'm living for a higher cause? Okay, and there is no in between. I have to decide. So that if I'm living life that it's all about me, then if somebody disagrees with me, so then that's a very personal offense. How dare you say that I'm wrong? If you're like, when I was saying what I think, you ever notice that like these people that anything that you disagree with them, they're always defensive. They always have to be right. They always have, it's people with very, very, very low self-esteem. They always have to be right, because anything they say, that is their worth. That whatever I am saying at the moment, that if that's not true, then I am worthless. So if you dare disagree with what I just said, you're basically saying that I'm a piece of garbage. So how dare I need to stand up? I'm going to stick up for what I said with everything I've got, because my life's on the line, right? Like in their messed up, in their twisted look at life, that I am what this opinion. So if you dare disagree with this opinion, so then I don't exist. And that it's a very myopic look on life. It's such a very self-centered look on life, that it's all about me, it's all about my glory, it's all about that I need to be right, because otherwise that I have no worth. And the alternative is that it's not about me. The alternative is it's about the truth. I have worth not because I'm right. I have worth because I'm searching for truth, because I'm part of this bigger picture. So if you disagree with me, if maybe you're right, and maybe by listening to you, maybe I can get a closer idea of what's the actual truth. And the closer I am to the truth, then I'm actually worth something. Okay? So this is two opposite ways of living life. One is being involved in my own glory, and the other one is being involved in God's glory. And so Tzadok is saying that this value, this attribute of being a person that looks for truth, so this is what enables us to come to peace. Because the opposite of looking for truth is looking for my personal glory. And if I'm looking for my personal glory, so then anytime that anybody disagrees with me, I'm going to take it personally. And I'm going to take everything as a personal offense. And then I'm going to hate everybody. Because nobody's going to agree with everything I say. So I can actually hate every single person, because every single person I can find that one thing that he doesn't agree with what I'm saying, and therefore he's actually saying in my twisted perception that I'm a piece of garbage, and therefore I should hate him, right? Where as opposed to that, if I'm actually looking for the truth, then when you give me an alternative perspective, so then I'm going to love you for it. It's actually going to bring us together. Okay? Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what if somebody's like objectively not right about something? Like, I was talking to my cousin about like intermarriage, and I was like, you just completely like you can't intermarry and expect like Jewish people to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you like have a conversation like that? Like when one is objectively truth by not just like our people, but by like scientific evidence.
Oh, if they're actually irrational, psychotic, whatever, then you don't need to. Then you don't need.
It's like not engaging.
Then you don't need to give any respect to an opinion that is actually irrational. But if they're rational human beings, then there's probably some truth to what they're saying. Like what they're probably saying is that you are that you're ignoring the concept of love, and to recognize that you have a good point there.
I'm ignoring the concept of love.
No, what they're claiming is that they're claiming that that a person should find love, right? And so is there or is there not truth to that? There is truth to that.
Yeah, but you choose who you love is the thing. It doesn't just fall into your lap.
Okay, but they're claiming a point of truth. That they're claiming a point of truth that love is important, and they were putting it that if you to take this over this is to say that there is no value to love, And the only way to have a rational response, a conversation with them, is to recognize that they're saying something that has a good point. And despite the fact that it's a good point, still there's another thing that is more powerful than that. But it actually could be that you could have a discussion about intermarriage. That one person is saying, well, it says in the Torah not to intermarry, and the other person is saying, yeah, but I love him. And you could say, so, well, who cares if you love him?
Yeah.
But God said that you're not supposed to marry him.
It's not just God. It's like the continuation of our own people. Take out God from it.
Hold on. No. So then you should listen to what I'm saying. That the conversation needs to be that, hold on, you are a rational human being. So you're probably saying something. You don't have to be right, but you have to be saying something. So there needs to be some truth in what you're saying. And you're saying that there's value to love. And if I can't agree that there's value to love, then I'm actually not getting the whole picture. Now, the truth is that there is value to love. And despite the fact there's value to love, that you should still not intermarry.
Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is that to acknowledge that there is truth to what you're saying. That,
why not just fall in love with a Jew?
Agreed. But if the argument is going to be that, well, I believe in listening to God and you believe in love, so that there's never going to be a conversation. And so when we agree that we're both trying to come to truth, that's what allows us to hear each other out. You understand?
Yeah.
What about a pro-Israel person talking to a pro-Palestine person?
No.
Mm-hmm.
We should all be pro-Palestine and pro-Israel, an anti-Israel person. Because that's the problem, is that so many of the pro-Palestine people don't care at all about the Palestinians. They are just anti-Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And they explicitly state it. They could not be any clearer that they don't care about the Palestinians. And that's the biggest problem with the entire movement as a whole. There's nothing wrong with wanting to, I just want to clarify that.
Anyway, when it comes to Palestinians, so when it comes to the pro-Palestinians, I mean that there's there's a real problem with facts.
Yeah.
There's a real problem with not having the facts, right? But what I think it is very necessary that as a preparation to Rosh Hashanah, that we want to love every Jew. We even want to love the Jews who are pro-Palestine, who are pro-Hamas.
I think they should lose their birthright.
No. That part of going into Rosh Hashanah is
I'm serious.
part of Rosh Hashanah is that we're going to love every Jew. And I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day that I was expressing my disappointment in the fact that we seem to have not gotten anywhere. That we seem to be in the same plunter that we were before, that we hate each other. And he said something very profound, that well, I don't think I'm the same person that I was before October 7th. That he as a religious Jew, that felt that before October 7th, he had a certain hatred to stupid people. For stupid people, whether they're anti-religious or they're anti-Israel, for whatever reason they're being stupid and they're ignoring the facts. So he had a certain hatred towards them. And after October 7th, he realized that what we need to do is to overlook this stupidity, to overlook this superficiality, and love them nonetheless. And that's what we're saying, that Vayaker Yosef, that Yosef was able to see through the external. He was able to see their neshama. He was able to see in their potential. He was able to see that at the end of the day, we're all in this together, whether we like it or not. So I can love you just because you're my brother and sister, and that is a foundation for making God our king, because we're showing up as a nation. Okay, so and there's no excuses that a person could be pro Hamas and we still have a mitzvah to love them, and we say they're still a Jew. They don't like I said before, if they actually pull up a gun and they're fighting against the IDF, then we have a mitzvah to kill them just because they're endangering our lives, just like any Jew that's trying to kill us. You have a mitzvah to kill them. But the fact that they go off the deep end when it comes to their ideology does not excuse us from loving them. Okay, and that's what Rosh Hashanah is to really come all together. So the first connection between Yaakov and Yosef, the connection between truth and peace is that if our foundation if our mentality is that I'm actually searching for truth, so then it's not about me. I don't have to feel defensive whenever somebody disagrees with me, whatever they're trying to say, as long as I'm looking for the higher truth, so then there's nothing personal here. And that's the first step that allows us to make peace.
Is this
It's really going to come to peace, because then you'll appreciate that the other person, it's not something personal, that they also have something to add to the conversation. Okay? But I think that there's another point as well, and that is another point that Tzadok notes in this week's parsha, and that is a contrast between the curses of Bechokotai and the curses of Tavo in this week's parsha. And that is that the curses of Bechokotai were said in the plural, and the curses in Tavo were said in the singular. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? Why is it like this? So he explains that when the Gemara discusses the difference between these two parshas, so it says that Bechokotai is the words of Hashem. Tavo, this week's parsha, it's in Sefer Devarim. Now, what's unique about Sefer Devarim is that Sefer Devarim is the words of Moshe. Ela hadvar Moshe dibur Moshe. The entire book of Devarim is a monologue of Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, so it's not exactly the same level of directly from God as the first 4 books. So the Gemara says that because the 5th book, and that's why this week's parasha, Tavo, was the words of Moshe, that's why it was a little bit different. So in Bechokotai, it's talking as a plural. It's talking to the nation at whole, and when Moshe Rabbeinu is talking, so he talks to the individual. Okay? It's because he's talking to the individual, so he's telling the curse is also onto the individual. So now what does that mean? So Tzadok explains that when Hashem looks at the Jewish people, so he sees us as one entity. Moshe Rabbeinu, he was a human being, so he was able to see us for our individual part. So therefore, the curse of the Tavo is that speaking to an individual, what can you as an individual do to make things better? Okay. Now when it comes to loving each other, so that needs to be a personal thing. That when I'm speaking to the nation, so you all need to follow the Torah. So in Bechokotai, that was about following the Torah. So I can tell you as a plural, as a nation, you all have to follow the Torah. But I'm telling you have to love each other. So it doesn't make sense to tell you as a nation you have to love each other, because what does it mean to love each other? What it means to love this person that I hate and this person I hate, this person. It's all different things. So it's all about separating myself. It's about thinking that how can I look at myself as an individual, and that, but it's more than that. That the way that I'm actually able to make peace with everybody is, it starts with a very basic, fundamental question that how can I, as an individual, fit into a bigger picture? So what I'm trying to do on Rosh Hashanah is, and the secret to making peace with everybody else is understanding how we are all in this together, that we're all working together to come to a common cause. So I have to ask myself that how do I fit into this bigger picture? And this is another way to come into Rosh Hashanah, that part of the shalom of Rosh Hashanah, part of the peace of Rosh Hashanah, of the achdut of Rosh Hashanah, is to ask myself that where do I fit into the bigger picture? How am I a part of Klal Yisrael? What am I doing for Klal Yisrael? How is Klal Yisrael benefiting from my existence? That's how I become a collective person. That's how I become a bigger person. That's how I become a Klal Yisrael person. And this is actually something that is hinted to in the Navi, that it says that Elisha came to this Isha Shunamit. And so Chazal said that this was on Rosh Hashanah. When he came to her, he came to this Isha Shunamit, and he asked her, like, what do you do? And her response was very enigmatic. She said, B'toch ami ani yoshevet, that I sit among my nation. And Chazal say that this was on Rosh Hashanah, and her answer was the answer that we are called upon to say every Rosh Hashanah, that B'toch ami ani yoshevet, that I'm part of something bigger. I'm part of the Jewish people. Who are you? I'm part of the Jewish people. Okay, this is a way of looking at myself. This is like, what can I add to my nation? What can I what's his name? That Rabbi Abramov told me once that his first entrance to the world of outreach was that he was sitting on a bus, and he didn't know who it was at the time, but Rabbi Tatz was sitting next to him, and Rabbi Tatz just said, "What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Abramov." And he said, "What do you do?" He says, "I'm learning yeshiva." And he said, "And what are you doing for Klal Yisrael?" That was his like Shalom Aleichem. That was like, what are you doing for Klal Yisrael? Are you doing anything for Klal Yisrael, or are you just like living for yourself? And so this betoch ami ani yoshevet means that I ask myself, what am I doing for Klal Yisrael? How am I a part of Klal Yisrael? And by thinking of myself as a part of a nation, so that's truth. That's truth. That look at myself, how am I a part of this greater cause? And by looking at myself as a greater cause, so of course that's going to force me to feel united to everybody else.
There we go.
So this is how truth is actually truth in terms of my little part. I'm my individual. I'm just little me, and I have my piece of history that only I can do and nobody else can do. And Rosh Hashanah is about find out how I can be part of this nation, what I can contribute to the nation, and that's my little truth. And by connecting to my little truth, that's what's going to connect me to the shalom. That's what's going to connect me to the peace. Okay, so this is what Rosh Hashanah is all about. This is why that we have this institution to read these tochacha, to read these curses this week before Rosh Hashanah, and my blessing to us all is that we should really be able to connect to truth. We should find our personal truth, and that through this truth we should be able to really connect to each other. And this is absolutely in case you didn't know, that Rosh Hashanah is about connecting to the Jewish people. So now you know that the only way to show up on Rosh Hashanah is if I feel that I love every Jew, not just the people that vote for the same party as me, not just for the people that are similar minded than me, and that I love everybody, and I see how we all are complementing each other. I see that we're all one great organism, and that's how we make Hashem a king over us. That Malach al Kol Ha'olam Kula, we're asking Hashem that now that we're all together, now that we look at ourselves as a nation which is united, so then we ask that you should rule over us and reveal yourself with Geula, with everything good. B'ezrat Hashem. So l'chaim.
Amen.